welcome to another episode of the Mixtape Matinee. We've got a very special episode for you this week. We've got my very good friend Tommy with us.
What's up?
Thanks for coming on, Tommy.
Yes, sir.
Nice to meet you. I just barely met you.
Yeah,
so you seem like a cool guy.
It's good to be here. Thank you.
Tommy is a good friend. He is a musician himself, plays the drums, and he's a big punk head, loves all kinds of punk, and has introduced me to some great music in the past. Showed me some great, actually, folk punk.
Yeah.
Because I was kind of, you showed me, I'm trying to remember their name. They're a foreign band, and it was a folk punk band. I can't remember off the top of my head, but
that's kind of what you were listening to when we first started this podcast.
That's true. I was in a huge folk punk stage.
I remember you telling me that.
And yeah, this week we have a couple of cool albums to talk about. We chose the albums Perverted by Language by The Fall and the album Dig That Groove Baby by the Toy Dolls. Both albums came out 1983. And yeah, Tommy chose his album initially, and then Cole chose to pair it with
The Fall album.
Yeah. So yeah. Tommy, tell us a little bit about how you came about to be introduced to this album.
So this album saw us about 8 or 9 years old. I was just a kid. I was living in Newport Beach, California, in Orange County. And I had 3 older brothers. And one day, my oldest brother, Caleb, he came home from the record store with these 2 vinyl records. And one of them was the Toy Dolls, Dig That Groove Baby. The other one was Agent Orange, an album called Bitchin' Summer. Nice. And as soon as he put it on, like, you know, even as a kid, I was like, what's this? And it was life-changing even for my age. Yeah, I've been listening to punk rock ever since. And but that record specifically, Dig That Groove Baby, is like the seminal record to me.
It's like your induction into the genre of punk.
Yep, absolutely.
Wow.
So this was your first punk record that you had experience to?
Yes.
Oh, that's super cool.
And was it foreign at all? Were you like, what is this? Or did it kind of make you excited?
No, it made me excited. I mean, it's even since I was a little kid, I was really big into music. My dad raised me on all kinds of music, everything from the blues to jazz and classic rock and stuff like that. And then, but once I heard the Toy Dolls, it was just a whole different world that it took me to, and like elevated me musically, even at the, tender age of 8 or 9 years old. Yeah, and just I couldn't get enough. And then, of course, once I hit my teenage years, I just went crazy buying punk rock and stuff. So
it's such a different punk album too, because it's just like a lot of fun, and like it's like it's whimsical in a way, and almost cartoonish. Like it's hard to describe it, and it's from the UK.
Yeah.
And they definitely have unique accents that you pick up on. I don't know, what is that accent? Would it be a Cockney accent? I don't know.
Oh, so it looks like they're from northern England in a place called Sunderland, which is kind of up near the Scotland border.
Oh, okay.
So it's like a northern British accent.
Northern accent.
Makes sense.
It's a fun, whimsical album, and it's like it's a little bit like happier than a lot of.
Totally.
Like the vibe is like good vibes.
Totally. Yeah. Like one of the things I love most about it is that it's, whereas a lot of people see punk rock, or a lot of people into punk rock are, they will go into like a political direction or a serious direction or a, I hate my parents or whatever type of direction. Yeah. Whereas the Toy Dolls just made it fun. They put in a whole element of fun, and there's almost like a level of empathy in some of their songs too.
Yeah.
Because like each song is like its own little cartoon story.
Yeah.
You know, like the lyrics, the music itself, like each song is its own little story about a particular someone or something like that. And usually it's pretty positive and full of empathy, which I love. You
Yeah,
know?
it's super. I like how you put that. Each song is its own like little vignette of somebody's life
Yes.
or story.
100%. Yep.
So yeah, there's kind of a humorous, kind of absurd everyday life situations with a satirical kind of take on it. Cole, do you have any thoughts about the album?
Well, let's go over like your like the favorite tracks.
Oh, that's a
Tommy,
great idea.
yeah. So what were like the? I guess it's probably hard since this album was so like it's so
Instrumental.
important to you.
Yeah.
But what would like your like top 3 tracks be from this album? Like people that don't know about them could go to
Sure.
this album, and what songs would you tell them to go listen to?
Sure. I mean, yeah, as you said, like as a lifelong fan of this band and particular album, like any song could really be my favorite. So it could change, you know, by the day, but I'd say the ones that stick out to me are Spiders in the Dressing Room.
Getting dressed late one night, along came a spider, and I got a fright. Oh, I couldn't squash it flat, no matter how I tried. And when it looked me in the eye, I ran away to hide. I put on big Dr. Martin shoes, a battle with the spider that I wasn't gonna lose. A kick from the left, a kick
Just because it just tells this whole story of just him battling against a spider, you know, and it's funny and it's extremely talented. Like the instrumentals are like criminally underrated. You know, they're well known, but not that well known, but they're super talented. So Spiders in the Dressing Room is just one of my favorites. And then I'd say, you know, Fiery Jack is a good one too.
Oh, I woke up with a backache. I thought I ought to go to the first aid where I found something for me backache. I rubbed in some cream and started to scream.
Just a song about like back ointment, but it's done really talentedly. I don't know if that's a word, but well.
Yeah.
And it just really paints a picture of like the struggles he's going through when they put this stuff on his back, which is awesome for a song,
Right.
you know. And then, you know, I guess I would tie that with
Stay mellow. Things do go wrong. It's not long since I've been blue, but I know the remedy. I can see just what to do.
because Stay Mellow just has a really good like philosophy of, you know, kind of how to like handle hardships in life. Just stay mellow, have a good outlook, positive outlook, and the song itself sounds positive too.
That's definitely one that I chose as well. The Stay Mellow
Yes.
song is super catchy and super just uplifting. And I've got some of the lyrics here. It says, "Things do go wrong. It's not long since I've been blue, but I know the remedy. I can see just what to do." And then it goes into this part where there's like a chorus. There's harmonies, and it says, "Don't." Oh, I want to sing it almost. It's so catchy. "Don't be a coward. Don't be yellow. It always pays to be mellow. Stay cool, stay free, and then you will see it's best to stay mellow."
Yes.
It just, when I was listening to that, I just was like, man, this is like the ultimate feel good punk song.
Yeah, 100%. It's hard to listen to that album or any songs on the album and not be in a better mood afterward.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, totally. Totally, for sure. Should I bring up my other two?
Yeah, you should. Yeah. let's
Yeah.
go over it.
So my two other songs that I chose from the album are Dougie Gyro. Gyro. I remember how they sing it. Dougie Gyro. And this is a song that's totally about this homeless guy and how he still maintains this like happy attitude about life,
Yes.
and how people judge him and try to put him down, but he doesn't let it get him down. It says, Dougie's in, this is the standout lyric for me. Dougie's inside a bus shelter. It's raining and a sight to see. Dougie smiles, he's seen a rainbow. Everywhere's bright, and so is he. And I just thought that was a really cool, like, just like you said, empathetic, but also like punk a lot of the times brings up like class consciousness and like things like about people who are in desperate situations. But it's rare for a song to also like highlight the person's like cheerful attitude in the midst of that like struggle. And I just thought that that was really cool. And it's just another great one. It also has some great harmonies. That's some of my favorite parts is when it's like a pub choir singing almost, and they have the harmonies in the songs. That's some of my favorite parts of these different songs on the album. And then the other one I chose was Glenda and the Test Tube Baby. And this is just an absurd song, but it's also, I think, got some empathy underneath the absurdity. It's about this woman who's sad and she wants to have a baby. She goes to the doctor. The doctor's like, you can't have a baby. She does her own research and she's like, I'm going to have a test tube baby. And it's got a super memorable melody where it goes, victory, if Glenda, she had a baby. Ooh-wee. And it's again that whole choir, that pub choir feel where you have those harmonies, and I just enjoyed it. It's another fun, absurd song, and it was hard to choose because there's a lot of fun songs on this album. What about you, Cole? What are your three?
Actually, I wanted to mention a little bit like a background on the album. I did some research, so
Oh, cool.
I don't know if you guys know this, but one of the songs, "Dig That Groove Baby," that song was featured in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4.
No.
Oh, wow.
So
I didn't
that's
know
kind
that.
of cool because those video games, they kind of expose a lot of people to different bands. So it's funny that that song was on there. But as far as the album goes, this was the band's first record that they put out, and from the sounds of it, they recorded it in 3 days in February of 1983. And they not only recorded it in 3 days, but they mixed and like mastered everything. So they did it really quick.
Wow.
And I didn't know this, but also the drummer, he, I guess, was working or something, had some conflict with it. So he actually had to record the drums separate. So it's kind of interesting, like, because I didn't notice it when I listened to the album. But here's a quote from one of the members of the band. He says, quote, "We recorded in Durham in a Terrence house in a little town called Pity Me. Crazy name, huh? It took only 3 days to record and mix, so there was no time to fix mistakes. Happy Bob," who's the drummer, recorded his drum bits with list on a lunch break from a local hospital where he worked. So he had only had time to like record maybe like a song or two at a time on his lunch breaks.
That's great to add to the story. He recorded in the hospispital.
I don't think he recorded in the hospital.
Oh,
but he would
I thought that's what it said.
Come from his
lunch
break.
break. So he would go on a lunch break for like maybe an hour.
Wow.
And then hurry and go to wherever their studio was, and then hurry and record there. And then, anyway, that just kind of gives a little more context.
It takes some really real talent.
Wow.
Yeah, and again, like the whole punk ethos, like leaving those mistakes in there. So that was kind of interesting. Like we could only like really record all the songs once, and so that's kind of what the song is. They didn't overthink it. I think I'll say for my favorite song, probably "Stay Mellow." I like that. I do like the band's the ethos that they went with, like having more of a fun attitude and the lyrics being joyful. Because usually, like when punk kind of started in a lot of other punk bands, that's not usually the case. So I like that a lot. Me and my wife are really into like lo-fi egg punk type stuff, and that also takes from that. Like they're really happy songs. They have like little melodies on keyboards. So it's very similar to egg punk in that way, except for it's a little different because it was in the 80s. But yeah,
Sure.
very.
Yeah.
I could see the influence on some of those bands. But yeah, Stay Mellow. I thought that had a good message, like with the lyrics and everything.
That's cool. We all three chose that.
Yeah, I
Totally.
will say, I probably need to listen to the album more, but for some reason, his voice like kind of annoyed me a little bit.
That's okay.
It was kind of hard to like listen to the album, but it was pushing me, which is good. So I don't know if I was the biggest fan of this album, but
Just because of his voice.
yeah, but I do like the ethos that they had, and I like their lyrics a lot. Like just
Sure.
reading them, like just going through and reading them. But I think the voice thing, that's just kind of like my personal preference. I'm sure if I like took the time, maybe I could get into it if I keep listening to it more, which I think I will. But
He does have a very unique voice,
For sure, yeah.
and I could see how it could be divisive, but for me, I just
and it's kind of
thought it was a lot of
similar to
fun.
like Dead Kennedys is a big punk band. Like I don't know, like Jello Biafra, like his voice is kind of annoying, and it was kind of reminding me of Jello's vocals a little bit. Like I don't know if Jello took inspiration from these guys, but
He's like
anyway.
the English Jello.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so I guess those are my thoughts on the album. I don't know if do you guys have any more thoughts on it?
I think it's interesting to draw a contrast between the two, and I'm excited to talk about that more after we talk about the fall a little bit. But yeah, definitely check this album out. It's really fun, tells lots of fun, absurd stories in a cartoony punk way that and with great instruments in the background, great vocals. The voice might be divisive, but if it's your cup of tea, it's your cup of tea. If it's not, it makes sense.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's go over my album. So when I first listened to the Toy Dolls album, I was trying to think, okay, I almost went with like an egg punk album, but then I thought, no, let's do something fun. I looked at the year it was released, 1983. I was like, okay, let's pick an album that was released during the same time, but that is still punk adjacent, but kind of different. So I went with The Fall. The Fall has been a band that I've heard of, but I haven't really delved into. So that's kind of why I wanted to check them out for the podcast. Just because they're not like super well known. I've heard a lot of people though talk about them. They have a huge discography. Like they have over 30 something albums. I can't remember.
Wow.
Like they were super prolific. But the band is more, I guess I would describe them as post-punk, which for people that don't know, that's kind of like basically punk, but like more avant-garde / experimental. They kind of take different influences, but then they still have like that punk attitude. So like an example of like post-punk would be like Joy Division, things like that in that vein. But yeah, The Fall is fronted by this guy named Mark Smith, who he's the only one that was consistent through all the years and all the different albums that they had. So they had a huge rotation of different musicians, and so each album, from what I've heard, is a little different from the next. Like I said, I think I need to delve into their discography a little more. But anyway, yeah, I went with this one. It's Perverted by Language from 1983. Something interesting about this album is that this was the group's first record to reach #1 in the UK independent charts.
Oh, wow.
Which is kind of interesting. And I think they started in 1977, so they've been going for a few years by that point. I don't really have like any interesting like background info on it other than, you know, I think they took their time with it. If you go onto Spotify, because we're probably going to link the album, you'll notice that it's the expanded edition. So I think what I told you is the actual album actually starts with the first song, Eat Yourself Fitter, and then it actually goes until Hexen Definitive. Then everything after that is like either like kind of like B-sides, like things that they didn't feel like should make it to the album, and then also just live versions of the song. So I don't know if that gives people context, but it's not as long of an album as it will show on Spotify.
Yeah, when you first pull it up, you're like, whoa, hour and 42 minutes. This is going to be a listen.
Yeah, so a big characteristic of this album and of The Fall is they kind of pick a groove, they pick a riff, and then they just play it like over and over again. And then Mark Smith doesn't really sing, more as he kind of performs like these poems. They're almost like poetry. And he's got a very interesting voice, very interesting style.
Interesting lyrics.
Yeah, very interesting lyrics.
Kind of cryptic.
Yeah, there's actually and I'll link this in the show notes, but there's a whole website actually dedicated to the lyrics of The Fall. It's called The Annotated Fall.
Oh, wow.
You can go on there, and it has everything annotated, like references.
Like a lot of literary references.
Yeah, and then it also will show like interviews, like people have like asked him specific things about certain lyrics, like what does this mean, and then he would kind of give a meaning or background or some context or things like that.
You should definitely link that in the notes.
Yeah, so everyone check that out. And since they have like a huge discography, it's kind of cool to. Yeah. I haven't delved into it a little bit. I did just for this album, but so my first song that I want to talk about is actually the first track, "Eat Yourself Fitter."
Went down the town to a HM club, sign at a cross, a couple well dressed. They looked at my coat, they looked at my hair. An easy rider coupe grabbed the edge of my coat, said you're too smart for here, said I'll see the manager. He was the manager. Eat yourself fitter. Up the stairs, mister. Eat yourself fitter.
The main part of the song is just a dum 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 bum 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 bum. It's kind of like that rhythm, and it just goes on from there. And I went to the Annotated Fall website, and I was curious about that phrase, "Eat yourself fitter," and it actually comes from a slogan campaign that they used in England for Kellogg's breakfast cereal.
Really?
Yeah, it was a TV campaign that was kind of the quote, "Eat yourself fitter." He uses that, and then from there, all the rest of the lyrics are basically just like a commentary on society as a whole. And again, with a lot of punk songs, it's talking about that blue collar ethos. So that's kind of what I got out of it as far as like the lyrics. But yeah, I was telling Tabitha, it's kind of funny how Mark Smith kind of quote unquote sings because he adds an kind of an A at the end of a lot of his lyrics. "Eat yourself fitter." He adds that He adds it on a lot of his a lot of the words that he uses. So that was kind of interesting. The next song, I think this is my favorite song on the album, is "I Feel Volkish." Which I looked it up, and vox is Latin for voice, so it basically means like I like to, or like I feel like singing, basically.
Oh, nice.
But it tells the story of this person that finds some scissors and then sharpens it in the bathroom on a brick. The song starts out with the phrase "a pillbox crisp," so I was like, "What is that?" So it's actually, he's talking about, so I guess at this point they had made some few trips to the US, and he had seen a box of Pringles. So that's what a pillbox crisp is, because a crisp is a potato chip and it looks like it's in a pill. So he's like talking about Pringles basically. And then it's also super catchy. The line of him saying offer, it was not an unreasonable offer. And yeah, and then from there he starts talking about kind of that story about this person sharpening a knife in the bathroom. And yeah, it's kind of cryptic. The lyrics are kind of cryptic, but that part is very catchy and it has this really catchy bass riff that's just basically do 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 do, and it's just going over and over and repeating throughout the song. So and it almost becomes just like this anthem when he starts singing kind of that chorus part. But you like this song, Court?
Yeah, it's funny. I chose this one as well. So both songs you've chosen so far.
Oh,
Like I could show you my notes. They're both songs that I chose.
okay.
And yeah, the lyrics are kind of cryptic. I thought it was funny how he mocks certain subcultures. Like he talks about
Hare
youth
Krishna.
punks and vegans.
Yeah.
And I think I think it's kind of a commentary on like frustration with people that he sees as shallow.
Yeah.
But honestly, you probably could interpret these lyrics a lot of different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And very kind of hypnotic, like repetitive. A lot of the songs, like what I was going to say when we were introducing this album, is just that like a lot of the songs in the album Perverted by Language to me feel like you've got these repetitive rhythms that repeat a lot. Also, the lyrics repeat
Yeah.
pretty often. It doesn't follow like a typical structure.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost got like I said, a hypnotic effect to it. I felt like it was a denser album, a little more challenging album, not necessarily the same like ethos as the
Yeah, the Toy Dolls. That's why.
Toy Doll.
That's kind of why I picked it. It's a little more serious.
Yeah.
As far as like lyrics, like lyrics wise. But yeah, like I said, but it's like it's a punk adjacent. So
Right,
Anyway,
post-punk.
and then I was just, it's interesting that there's like an album like this from The Fall that came out the same year.
Yeah,
But then there's also like people in England also making something that the Toy Dolls made. Like, you can come to punk music and then view things in like two different ways, but anyway, but it's still cool and still interesting on both aspects of it.
And that's cool that they both 1983,
Yeah.
both UK. Very good, cool, interesting pick.
Yeah. And I'm going to pick my last one and we'll see if it's the same one as you, Court. But the one that I liked, and it, like I said, it's actually technically not on the album, but it's The Man Whose Head Expanded.
The man whose head expanded. The man whose head expanded was corrupted by Mr. Sociological Memory. Was corrupted by Mr. Sociological Memory Man. Could not get and carry a bag for love, no money. The man whose head expanded. Sounds like hiccup, huh? Sounds like hiccup, huh? Over.
And this wasn't on the original release of the album, but if you buy the record now, on the reissues, this is actually included. So this was just like a B-side that didn't make it to the album. But this song's cool because it starts out with like a little drum machine beat, and then as it goes on, the bass riff comes in, and again, it's super catchy and it just kind of repeats itself. But as far as the lyrics go, the lyrics, like how the song starts, is the man whose head expanded was corrupted by Mr. Psychological Memory Man. This is in reference to like people that have a bunch of useless information stored in their head. And so Mark Smith said like in an interview, like, those guys that you can ask them like a question, or they go to like trivia night and you're like, who was the team that won this game in soccer in England in this year? And they can rattle it off. And so that's exactly what he's talking about. It's like, once you know that, then it kind of seems like obvious what he's talking about. and again, it's like all like we as humans sometimes have all this information in our heads, and sometimes we feel like our heads are going to explode. So, so the quote is from an interview that he did in. It was like later on, like after the album had been put out, but he said, "It's about this fellow who's been effed up by too many information posing as real information." And then it goes into this thing, which is an obvious paranoia trip when he thinks the bloke with a soap opera is ripping off his lines and writing them down, but his thoughts are too intense for him to do anything about it. That's why the vocals are doing. That's what the vocals are doing, and the song is very untogether. I'm a bit pissed off that people find the song undecipherable. I find it pretty clear. So this is kind of funny that he's saying that when there's like this whole website like created to like understanding these lyrics.
These esoteric lyrics. Yeah.
Yeah, and so yeah, it does kind of tell that story of this writer that thinks that the soap opera is like ripping him off, and then like this whole paranoia, and then anyway, it's kind of like it's kind of a commentary on society and certain things that we find important that maybe aren't really that important. And then I also thought that was there was an interesting phrase too, like when he's talking about sounds like hick wop, huh? And I read the annotated thing on that kind of part of the lyric, and he's just basically like saying like, oh, that just means like bull crap. You know, that sounds like bull crap is kind of what he's meaning there. So anyway, I really like that song a lot. What were your other favorite songs on the album?
So like I said, you chose two of the same ones.
Yeah.
I also chose the song Kicker Conspiracy. I just thought it was really catchy and it was interesting. I looked into it a little bit. It's a critique of the football or soccer organizations and culture in England, and how it punishes players for having flair or style. And
like everybody has, it's kind of like militaristic. Everybody has to look and act the same.
And it repeats the phrase "kicker conspiracy" in a really catchy way that I enjoyed. If I like had to characterize the album compared to the Toy Dolls album, I would say this one is more experimental, dark, and intellectual, where the Toy Dolls album is more fun, comical, and lighthearted.
Yeah, very
And
much, so we're giving you guys a little bit of sugar and a little bit of spice. Kind of like
it's a fun pairing.
Kind of like John Lennon to Paul McCartney. One is super depressed and one is super happy and bubbly.
That's a great analogy.
I thought that the Toy Dolls album sounded a little more polished, and this one sounded a little more loose and experimental. I don't know if
as far as the songs, you mean?
Yeah,
because I was gonna say they like recorded it really fast.
Yeah, even though they recorded it really fast, I just mean the audio.
I think they probably just had it down.
They kept it really tight. They kept it really.
They probably just had those songs down though too. I bet.
Yeah.
Because like you cannot do it in 3 days just from personal experience.
Yeah.
They practiced it like a million.
Yeah,
times,
you have to.
probably.
You have to have them down to do something like that.
Still an impressive feat. How about you, Tommy? What were your thoughts on this album?
It was different for me, and I had never heard The Fall before, and I don't know too many post-punk bands. It definitely, my first thought when I heard it was it reminded me of the band Wire and the album Pink Flag.
Yeah, that's a great album. I love that album.
Me too, yeah. And it was very much, it kind of had that Wire, definitely like English 80s post-punk sound.
Yeah, for sure.
And way different than the Toy Dolls, obviously. But I dug it, and my two songs that I really liked off it, that I jammed a bunch, were I think how you say it, Hotel Blotel?
Oh,
yeah.
I dug that. It was way different. And then I like Hexen Division 2. I was rocking that on my way here. That song is just a whole different vibe. It has different elements of different things. And when I the other day when I had the lyrics and I was watching the music on YouTube on my TV and had the lyrics, it's definitely like it was like this juxtaposition or dichotomy or whatever the word is of like on one hand it's very like it's very dark and profound, but at the same time it's like just lighthearted observations of like suburbia in the modern world.
Yeah.
You know, so it was
That's
like
a good way of putting it.
it was like really heavy and really light all in the same song. It was like I can't, this is really cheesy, but I came up with a word for it. I was like, this is smart and artistic. It's smartistic, you know. So that's how I describe The Fall, or at least this particular album, is it was smartistic. Like the lyrics were fascinating. I didn't know anything that they meant, but I could still like have my visuals while listening to the song. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I love the bass. It's very bass driven music.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Very focused around the bass.
I think that's why I liked it. I definitely want to go and like listen to their other stuff. And the interesting thing, like when you were talking, I looked it up, and The Fall, they're from Manchester, so they definitely have they come from that working class type of
Place.
society, place, and then also, you know, Manchester. I think we were actually talking to Ryan on the last music episode, like about Manchester, and like it's not like a good place. It's kind of dirty, it's grimy. But like if you think about it, a lot of great bands have come out of Manchester. You know, we got Oasis getting back together. They're from Manchester, and Ozzy Osbourne is kind of from that area.
We just insulted.
Actually, I think he's
a whole bunch of people living in Manchester.
Actually, I think
We love you, Manchester.
Yeah, no hate to Manchester.
Actually, Ozzy Osbourne's from Birmingham, so never mind.
Oh yeah.
No on Ozzy Osbourne, but yeah, The Fall's super awesome. I want to definitely check out their other stuff.
I want to know more of. I was looking it up. Apparently, what's his name? Mark
Smith.
Yeah. Apparently has a lot of literary references in the songs, and I want to try to like.
That's what I'm saying. Go to that website. Go to and check it out. But yeah, Mark was making music like up till like when he died, when he passed away. So there's a lot of music, which might be a little intimidating for people, but if you're like me, just go for it. Just start at one of the albums, and then I guess if you don't like this album, then maybe don't test the one. I mean, maybe dip your toes into it, but I don't know. We'll let you guys decide on that for yourselves.
The discography was huge. I remember I was on my Spotify and I just kept scrolling. Yeah.
2 years later. Yeah. Do you know what I'm referencing? Or 2 hours later, or whatever.
Oh, you're talking about SpongeBob.
Yeah, that meme. Yeah. No. Well, this was a fun week of musical contrasts. And do you guys have any like closing thoughts on this
Just
pairing?
check both these albums out and see if you like them. And if you do, then keep rocking them, man.
Right on.
I definitely am going to be adding the Toy Dolls album to my
Rotation.
library. Yeah, my rotation. So, yeah.
Thanks for being on, Tommy. Thanks again.
Oh, thanks for having me,
this is
guys.
great.
I appreciate it. This is awesome.